Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio.
Zaron Burnett.
Elizabeth Dutton.
It's me, Zaron Burnett.
Hey, it's me, Elizabeth Dutton.
I got a question.
I may be able to answer.
Who here
Yes.
knows something ridiculous?
Ooh, me in the front row.
Yes, Zaron.
No, not Helen Thomas. Me.
Zaron Burnett.
Okay, Zaron Burnett from the Associated Foreign Press. Did you see this story recently reported about the hikers who lost their buddy in New York?
No.
They're all worried.
No.
Oh, yeah. So these two guys, they were hiking in the Adirondacks in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they got really worried because the third guy who was with them died.
Oh, no.
I know, right? So they then see that they call them stewards, like the park rangers.
Yeah.
They see the steward like on the mountain. They go, "Hey, we're lost, and our buddy died." And so and the park ranger, the steward's like, "Okay, you guys are messed up." He just looks at him and knows they're messed up.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, these guys are like, "Okay, he's not helping." They leave, I guess, and they call 911 and they report that their buddy's dead. They're lost. They're on this mountain. Meanwhile, after they called 911, this steward was able to determine that they were incorrect. The friend then called and said that they were not dead.
It's like, P.S. I'm not dead.
Yeah, I'm totally fine, guys. You guys went left, I went right. It was like, so basically they were that high on shrooms.
Oh,
that they all thought. These two guys convinced themselves that the third guy was dead and went through a whole thing.
Like ego death following that. Oh, God.
And they had the forest rangers looking for him. They had 911 looking for him. And then the buddy called "Hey, I'm lost." And they're like, "Are you with two hikers? Are you on a mountain? Because I need to connect you guys." And so they connected him in a campsite.
He goes off on a different path.
I guess.
They turn around. He's not there. Like,
he's dead.
We thought you was a toad.
Exactly. Greg died. So when they meet up at the campsite, that must have been probably second coming of since Jesus. It's
sure.
"Oh my God, you're dead, man. How'd you come back?"
Now they belong to the Church of Greg.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible.
Ridiculous.
Very ridiculous. Do you want to know what else is ridiculous?
I love ridiculous.
Stealing land, but not in the name of colonialism.
Oh.
This is Ridiculous Crime, a podcast about absurd and outrageous capers, heists, and cons. It's always 99% murder-free and 100% ridiculous.
I know you done heard that.
I know I done heard that. This one comes to us courtesy of Haley Huntley.
Thank you, Haley Huntley.
Haley wanted to show some criminal Chicago pride.
Hell yes.
Right? You and I both love Chicago.
Shout out to Chicago.
It's a great city.
I love the whole place. South side, north side, all of it.
Everything. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite places. You know what's really cool about it? My cousin lives there.
Oh.
I mean, so that's cool.
That's super cool.
That makes it
for
cool.
him.
But Chicago, right? It always brings the realness.
Yes.
And it brings the crime.
Yes.
Which is
It's
great.
America's best kept secret.
It really is. It brings crime in so many ways.
Oh, my goodness, yes. How so, Elizabeth?
Many of them outside of what we would talk about here.
This is true.
Very true.
It has a reputation for that.
But I've got a 99% murder-free one for you.
What? Did you take a lot of research?
Yeah, I really did. I want to tell you about George Wellington Streeter.
Okay, George Wellington Streeter.
Yeah, so this is Haley tipped us off. This is a good one.
Good looking out, Haley.
He was a native son of Flint, Michigan.
Chicago
Born in
transplant.
1837.
Whoa.
So
okay.
At that time, Flint was a frontier settlement.
Yeah, he was there when they founded it.
Oh, yeah, he's like, yeehaw.
He's like, we should call this place Flint.
He's like, and there he was. Born into this huge family, 13 kids.
Oh, wow.
The family was totally...
They had nothing to do back then.
No,
just
procreate. A lot of just... Well, I mean, you got to churn out workers for the farm.
Yeah, a lot of bed testing.
And a lot of spares.
Diseases taking a couple of them.
I mean, let's be real.
Yeah,
That was
like
part
a
of
sieve
it.
getting kids through.
Exactly. And, you got a lot of duds.
You have such a high standard.
Well, it's like poor health and hygiene.
Oh, yeah.
You got duds.
You're eating lead. It's not a good time.
The family, though, salt of the earth.
Yes.
Good working class folks, hardworking, upright, very patriotic military family. His great grandpa fought in the American Revolution.
Oh, wow.
His grandfather served in the War of 1812.
Oh, okay.
Like, this family didn't play. Deep American roots, right?
Serious.
As was common
Fought for the freedom.
It's freedom's never free.
Established it and
Zaron.
kept it.
You pay a hefty fee.
Yes, generation to generation.
It's $1.05. So it's common at that time among working class families for the kids to not really have a formal education beyond elementary school.
Yeah.
You know, that's just
about
what
fourth
happened.
grade or so.
You know, my grandpa only made it to 6th grade.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. I only made it to 4th grade.
There's something past
We're going
third grade?
backwards.
Yeah.
We're going backwards in my family.
I didn't know there's anything past third grade.
I never went to kindergarten.
Yeah, I still can't spell fourth grade.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Where are my shoes?
Are these my pants?
Are these my pants? So he didn't go past elementary school.
Yes.
But he had something better. Street smarts.
Streeter smarts.
Oh, there it is. Good job, Burnett.
That was a
You're
Dutton.
learning from me. So he has these street smarts. I feel like Flint street smarts just hit different. Maybe even back in frontier times. So Streeter, he also had another quality. He loved spectacle. Like the old razzle-dazzle, the carnival.
Who doesn't?
You know,
You don't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, actually I do.
You do?
Well, not really.
Yeah, I don't
It
think
depends.
You're not a huge razzle dazzle fan.
Depends on the situation. So his early career, Streeter's early career, is basically like a 19th century picaresque novel.
Seriously.
He worked as a logger and a trapper.
Oh, wow.
He was an ice cutter on Saginaw Bay.
Yes.
He got a gig as a deckhand on vessels that navigated
Like the lakes?
Canada's Georgian Bay. He did a little mining in the iron and copper regions of the Upper Peninsula. He was a sideshow barker at a carnival, dude.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. It was around this time that a war broke out, the American Civil War.
Oh.
As friend of the show Axl Rose once wondered, what's so civil about war anyway? Cue the whistling. So
Chinese democracy place.
So the Civil War, the War of Southern Aggression. Streeter enlisted in the Union Army, and he set off to fight.
Good for him.
Yeah, he set off. I'm going to fight the traitors.
It's a family tradition at this point.
It's a family tradition. And he did a good job of it.
Oh,
he was like, really good at it.
Good shot.
He earned the rank of captain.
Oh, damn. He actually
Which was
did.
a title that he used.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I'm never sarcastic.
Not you.
No. He used that title for the rest of his life.
Captain?
Postbellum.
Yeah.
Everyone called him.
Postbellum.
Everyone called him Cap.
You very rarely hear that postbellum. It's always
Postbellum.
antebellum this, antebellum that. I'm like postbellum.
Let's talk about that. Cap. Everyone called him Cap.
Oh, not Captain. It's
No,
Cap.
Cap.
Okay, no Cap.
He said that he fought in all these major battles. Missionary Ridge. Lookout Mountain.
The wilderness.
Who knows? Here's the thing. There's no reliable military record that shows that he served as a Union officer or even as an enlisted man.
Oh.
So there are all these historians and biographers
and
who
they kept records.
They doubt.
It's not that hard to
they
find.
kept records for that. So people have cast doubt on that. Yeah. The National Archives and Civil War pension records don't have any evidence of his service under the name George Wellington Streeter.
And they were the best of the record keepers.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's born in 1837, right? So he was eligible to serve.
Been,
but we don't really know what he was doing those years.
I'm guessing he was running the rivers in
He was
Canada.
a cap in spirit.
Yeah.
He already,
He's Captain Crunch.
And like at this point, he already had a reputation for exaggerating and like fabricating his backstory.
Elizabeth, I'm telling you, he was the model for Captain Crunch. He had a riverboat.
You're right.
He had the funny hat.
Right.
He was just going around.
You're so right.
Call me Captain.
His persona was like carefully constructed,
was
by
he wearing all
marketing
blue?
team doing Captain Crunch. He posed as this war hero, and that would get him sympathy from veterans, populace, working class folks.
Boo, stolen valor.
Stolen
boo.
valor. He would portray himself as this like rugged, self-made American who fought for freedom. And this would become central to his myth-making later on.
I always tell people that I was an active soldier in the Cold War. And I tell people I fought for the Soviets. And I give them the look, and they're like, "You aren't even old enough." I'm like, "Yeah, you believed me."
That's
and I
good.
walk away.
I like that.
Yeah, this would make people's day weirder.
You were like on the front lines of the Cold War.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
The Cold War, Burnett. Right there in the front lines.
Well, like Streeter, right? His myth making was essential to his next gig.
How so?
He bought a traveling circus.
Oh my God.
This thing had all sorts of exotic animals, right?
Guy does everything.
I'm talking porcupines, deer, otters, donkeys.
What the hell
And
traveling circus is this?
He had a white
This is a traveling petting zoo.
He had a white Normandy hog.
What
And
is a white Normandy
I looked
hog?
up Normandy hog,
Yeah.
and all that came up were like recipes for some dish. But it's like Normandy pig. I saw some photos.
Okay.
You know,
Is it like a big? Is it an attractive hog?
The thing
Is this thing a looker?
It's got long eyelashes.
Yeah, like fluttery.
Come hither, look. He didn't
Real
say
curly
like,
tail.
"Hey, come look at my hog." He said, "Look, everyone, it's a white elephant." Like he told people it was a white
Did
elephant.
he like attach
It's an
a
easy
trunk?
mistake to make, Zaron.
Does it have like a trunk?
No.
Nose?
In all fairness, though, the thing was 10 feet long and weighed over 1,500 pounds.
What? That is an elephant.
I'd pay a nickel to go see
yeah,
this.
I would too,
Sure.
but that ain't a hog.
No, but once you've paid your nickel and you're in there and they're like,
Yeah.
that's not an elephant. And then you're just like, I'm dizzy. The fumes in here are terrible.
The smell with the crap.
Whatever.
That's
but
like the grandfather of Hogzilla. That's not
that's a big
right.
old pig.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Woo, buddy.
Big one. So
That place would drive Arkansas crazy.
along the way, he picked up a wife.
Oh,
Minnie.
Was she impressed by the hog?
Minnie.
She's like, nice
She
hog.
ran the circus with him. They were a
Okay.
power couple.
Oh, wow.
In
the circus community?
She was like, yeah. When the circus folded, so did their marriage. See, Minnie signed on to be with a circus baron, like a big dog. She didn't sign on to be with a failed circus owner. So she bounced out. She took all the money he had left with her. There are some who say that she went off to become a vaudeville star.
Oh,
I
she?
could find no evidence of that, but like, what
She
do
could
I
have
know?
changed her name,
What do
yeah.
I know? I'm just a simple country lawyer. I just work here, lady.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Why am I sweating you?
Yeah. So Streeter, he worked best with a partner
It sounds like
in
it.
business, in romance, in life, in hogs.
Definitely.
So it wasn't long before he met and married Maria Mulholland.
Do you still have the hog?
Oh yeah, no, I think the Minnie took the hog, rode him off into the sunset.
Did she take the
Yeah.
hog?
But so Maria, right?
Yeah.
She's this spitfire. She's feisty gal.
Okay. I love those.
She became his lifelong partner in both legitimate and illegitimate endeavors.
Oh.
Yeah, so
wow. Good for him.
he bummed
Found his
around.
own Bob Barker.
Oh, he did. Ride or die. Little Bonnie and Clyde's. He bums around as like a ship's navigator on Lake Michigan for a while.
Bumps around or bums around?
He bumps around.
Like, oops,
No,
ran
he
into
bummed, he bummed around.
Okay.
He bummed around.
ran into the dock again, Captain.
Then he headed for dry land.
Okay.
Land ho, settled in Chicago in the 1870s.
Ah.
Something happened in Chicago in 1871.
Hmm.
That's right, Elizabeth. It was the Great Chicago
Fire, right? Yeah.
So it was
Was
reportedly
it Maggie's?
It was reportedly
barn?
ignited late one night when we were all in bed.
Yeah.
Old Lady O'Leary kept a lantern in the shed. When the cow kicked it over, that's when we all said it'd be a hot time in the old town tonight.
Exactly.
Fire, fire, fire.
Fire. Hot town in the old town.
Someone was a camp counselor around here. So
I'll give you two guesses.
the fire was so brutal. It burned more than 3 square miles of the
Yeah.
city.
The London fire and Chicago fire, like the Great Fires.
Yeah. It killed more than 300 people. It left more than 100,000 people homeless.
Wow.
Huge. One of the structures that was lost was Colonel Wood's Museum.
Not Colonel Wood's Museum.
No, it was
where
located.
they kept all the finest popcorn kernels.
It was right on the corner of Clark and Randolph.
Oh, down
I
the
don't know
street
where that
from,
is. That means nothing to
Wrigley
me.
Field.
Sure. It was an amazing
1060 West
menagerie
Addison.
of oddities and antiquities. Birds, bugs, snakes.
I love those things.
Painting, no
Not the
hogs,
snakes.
no hogs. Paintings, model ships,
Ooh.
but also a panorama of the city of London.
Is this like little boy's room that they turned into a museum?
100%. A rifle owned by Daniel Boone.
I'm telling you, this is
A
like a
scale
10-year-old boy.
model of the Parthenon. A dinosaur skeleton.
I'm telling you.
Mummies. And papyrus sheets that were once the property of Joseph Smith, founder of the Mormons.
So maybe a 12-year-old boy. He's
Maybe
got
a 12,
a
yeah.
little,
Bump it
little
up. It's a
historical
12-year-old.
interest.
Yeah, it's a 12-year-old boy with maybe one friend.
Yeah.
2, if they're feeling generous. So everything was lost in the Chicago fire.
Yes, that's a shame.
But Colonel Wood didn't let that stop him.
Can't.
he picked up a business partner, a co-owner, George Streeter.
Uh-oh.
And together they reopened the museum just a block away.
Okay.
They found a theater that was like 1 block over just outside of the burn zone.
He's like, have I told you about my hog?
And he's like, I know I'm a hog man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just want to,
It's one thing I can bring to this partnership.
I'm a hog man, but I think I can get into the museum gig. They started collecting stuff.
Okay.
Just
knickknacks
frantically.
and paddywhacks.
Yeah, it took a few years, but they eventually reopened. This time with even more stuff crammed in there. And it was a big hit.
Really?
But for whatever reason, Streeter cashed out of the venture.
He's like, I'm out of the curiosities
Yeah,
business.
he's like, I'm no longer curious, which is good because the place burned down again less than a decade later. I mean, you imagine the dust and the must.
Oh, yeah. And when you're building everything out of wood, and then everything just is
everything is wood and oily rags.
Exactly.
That's how they built everything in those days.
Rags
They
everywhere.
insulated with oily rags. By that time, though, like, Streeter had moved on. He became a salesman at county fairs. He moved up in the world.
Perfect gig for him.
When he got tired of that, like, he was doing like the slap chop stuff and like
Getting through knives.
yeah, exactly. Vitamix. When he got tired of that, he went back to Chicago and he did a short stint as the owner of the Apollo Theater there. That's no relation to the New York City.
Their own Apollo.
Yeah. So he pops up here and there in the papers, like sometimes for good, like when he was helping shore up a house that had collapsed.
Like personally, like Atlas holding
like
it up.
he and some other dudes were like, let's help this guy.
Let's play Amish and help this.
Yeah. And then once
house.
he and his family were the victim of a crime because they were living on this boat and it got burgled when they went to the park.
Oh.
That made the paper.
Slowed his day.
He acquired a steamship called the Reuton.
Yeah.
Reuton.
Let's get back on the...
Reutan. Reuton.
There you go.
Let's call it Reuton.
Sure.
It was Maria who named it, so don't blame me.
I don't even know words.
Why she chose the name, who knows?
Who knows?
And honestly, who cares?
Who cares?
There it is. So here's the thing about Maria. She was a complete alcoholic, like a raging drunk. I'm talking like week-long benders where no one knows where she is.
Oh, wow. Finish the bottle and throw it at
blackout.
someone. Yeah.
Streeter was cool with this.
He's like, I love it. Makes her interesting.
This is his quote. It don't matter where she is. She's having a good time and will come home when she's ready.
Like she's his dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or like a really old cat.
Hey,
Just like, hey, the cat comes back.
He respects the spirit.
I do. I get
so
it.
she had a lot of adventures piloted from the inside of a bottle. And on one of those benders, she made a pal.
Oh, no.
A guy named Captain Bowen.
Sailing the seas of oh, no.
So he told her all about a revolution going down in Honduras.
Oh, no.
And he's like, there's this business opportunity for us up here. Anyone with maritime skills in a boat and a taste for danger and adventure, you got to get into gun running.
Gun running to Honduras?
Yeah. So he's like, you know what? You take a load of weapons down there.
He's like, the CIA doesn't exist yet, but
No.
this is going to be big next century.
So you're going to pilot your craft up and down the Honduran rivers.
Okay.
Selling the wares to the revolutionaries.
Just find them wherever.
Just, put a sign on there.
They're trustworthy buyers.
Gun.
Yeah. Got 'em.
$2.
Guns, hot guns.
Yeah,
Who wants
all
the guns?
scrawled like a lemonade stand sign. There's some debate about whether or not Streeter actually did this.
No.
He told everyone
Yes.
that he wanted to charm that he had transported weapons by boat to like a bunch of different Central American uprisings, not just
Multiple.
Honduras.
Oh.
He told tales of his daring do, outwitting foreign governments, like narrowly escaping capture. Because, he's a military man, Zaron.
course.
He's from a long line of military men. He was
Adventures.
born for this, he
His
would
heart
tell
is in
people.
it.
And it was on those runs where he honed his nautical skills. It made him a true salt. And it made him more hard-boiled than he was before.
Oh.
So that's what he said. Anyway, the claims have never been substantiated.
None
So,
of his claims so far
there are
have
no
been.
shipping records, no contemporary newspaper accounts, no government documents like verifying this gun running
What if
activity.
he's just like sitting at the beach, just staring at boats going,
But here's-
I'm running that guns on
Here's
that
the
one?
thing, though. Just because there's no paperwork doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No, yeah,
it's not like you
that's good
file
crime.
paperwork to
Yeah.
run guns
No, yeah,
to a
it's-
foreign government.
That's
Like,
successful crime.
yeah, it's not something you want in the papers.
Yeah, you definitely don't want
So
records.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
Check.
Let's
I'll
say
give him that
maybe
one.
he did it.
He
I'm
did
with
it.
that. I like
say
that,
he did it.
Elizabeth. Good spirit.
But I must say that historians generally view his alleged gun running the same way they viewed his supposed Civil War service, like part of the larger-than-life persona
It does fit
that
a pattern.
he created. Yeah, gun running was a genuine occupation for some people,
Oh, yeah.
like adventurers in
Totally.
the 1870s, 1880s.
It was a big deal then.
Nicaragua, Honduras, Panama.
Mm-hmm.
So Streeter could have borrowed elements from like those real stories to fabricate his,
Sure. Sure. There were people around.
It was his myth making.
You're at the right bar in the right marina or merchant.
Yeah.
place,
There's a great website, American Hauntings, from Troy Taylor, has an interesting section on Streeter. Really tracks all these tales. So historians, they say that Streeter, invented these myths and legends in order to look patriotic, rebellious. It gave him an air of global experience. And it backed up that he was capable of commanding ships and like handling weaponry.
It worked brilliantly for Teddy Roosevelt. He did that right all the way to the presidency.
But see, that's the thing. He did it to the presidency. Why was it important for George Streeter?
Why was it important for George Streeter, Elizabeth?
Well, Zaron,
Great question,
when
Zaron.
we return from this commercial break, we'll look into that.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Welcome back,
Hey.
Zaron.
I was thinking about gun running.
I know, right?
That was fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, I was just sitting on the beach dreaming about it,
Like
telling
in
myself
the
I did it.
1870s gun running?
Yeah, like on a boat that's a steamship.
That'd be some cool
Like,
stuff.
chug, 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 chug,
Yeah.
chug, chug,
And then you're all like, aloha.
chug. Who wants to buy guns?
I have the guns.
Did you want to keep Hawaii?
That was a lot of ad time, by the way.
Yeah.
At least I'm assuming it is. We have no idea how many ads, what ads.
I don't listen to ads personally.
Don't blame it. Whatever.
I've never listened to ads.
Don't blame us.
I don't watch ads. I don't
Deep breaths.
No, I'm
Listen.
just kidding. I love them.
You know what?
The ads are the best part. That's what I listen to shows for.
Just for the ads?
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, the show again?
I skipped the show part just
Yeah,
to watch.
get back to the ads.
Exactly.
They're fast, they're quick. They're about things I'm interested in.
You know what,
Yes.
Zaron?
Yes.
Close your eyes.
Yes, eyes are closed.
I want you to picture it.
Yeah.
It's July 10th, 1886. You are a Chicago cop walking the beat along the waterfront on the north shore of Lake Michigan. As you come to the foot of Superior Street, you notice something. A steamship has run aground on the sandbar just off the shore. It's a muggy summer day. Carriages roll down the road behind you as you stare out at the boat. The rain from a common summer afternoon storm has just passed. The air is thick and oppressive. You reach behind you and peel your uniform shirt and coat away from your sweaty back, flapping them a little just to get some air in there. You walk down Michigan Avenue a bit to take note of the name of the ship, Rutan. You'll send word to get a tug to get this thing out of here, but first you need to make contact with those on the vessel. You blow your whistle and call out toward the deck of the steamship. A man appears. A slight man with a big Sam Elliott mustache pops up, adjusting the pork pie hat on his head. You ask him what happened. He tells you that he got stranded on the sandbar in the storm. This just can't be true. That was not much of a storm. You ask the man his name. Cap Streeter, he yells back. The thick rope lines slap lazily against the hull of the ship as it gently rocks with the waves that lap at the sandbar. Just then you hear footsteps. The local alderman approaches you. He's heard about the stranded boat and came down to see what was what. He comes from a long line of sailors on this massive lake, steady, talented mariners. What I'm trying to say, Zaron, is that this man knows boats and piloting the very same. He shouts over to the man on the boat that it looks to him like he ran the vessel into the shallows on purpose. Came into it head on. Still, we'll get someone out here right away to get you loose and on your way, he tells the man. Streeter stares you both down and then clears his throat. He tells you that the area is unclaimed territory and not the alderman or anyone else can tell him to move. He's outside the jurisdiction of the city. In fact, he continues, he hereby declares this little spit of land the District of Lake Michigan. He announces that it is a sovereign entity under his control now. You and the alderman look at each other in disbelief. A crowd has started to form, gathering to watch the spectacle of a large ship run aground, but now captivated by this blossoming standoff. You command Streeter to disembark. He laughs and goes below deck. You grab a paperboy who's stopped with the crowd to take in the show. You send him to the precinct building to get backup for you. You tell him to convey the urgency of this situation. The alderman tells you he's heading to City Hall to get the mayor. You've got a situation on your hands, Zaron, and it's about to get way bigger than you or the alderman could ever imagine. So
he made land.
At the time that Streeter ran the Route 10 into the sandbar, Chicago was really rapidly expanding.
Totally.
So the rebuild from the fire was like chugging along, almost mostly completed. People were investing in Chicago, and developers wanted more land. They did like they'd done here in San Francisco. They used landfill to extend the shoreline.
Oh.
So in San Francisco, and I think I mentioned this in the Shanghai Kelly episode, so many ships came pouring in during the gold rush, depositing hopefuls at the, foot of Market Street. And passengers and crew alike disembarked. They abandoned the ships on this marshy shore. So developers just started establishing businesses, hotels, saloons, what have you, in the empty ships. And then they began to dismantle them and leave them lay where Jesus flang them.
Yeah.
Filling in that muddy, marshy area, making more land. So blocks and blocks of downtown San Francisco are built on that rough landfill, compacted over time, but still not super stable.
It's not real
especially
earth.
in a quake.
I like how there's a BART tunnel that you go through a ship.
Yeah, Montgomery Station goes right through a ship. Well, then there's the Millennium Tower is leaning.
Oh, yeah, because of all that.
Because of all
it's built
that.
on fill.
There are great stories. I feel like, I can't remember what book it was that I read it, where in those marshes, they would drive these pilings.
The pilings,
and they would just keep going, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
But so the same thing was going on in Chicago, right? There were ships, but most of the landfill that was created was when contractors would just dump debris on the shoreline.
Oh, okay.
And Streeter was all about this. So he refuses to remove his boat. Instead, he's like inviting the contractors to come and dump junk and brick and wood, garbage, whatever, all around the ship, just to add real estate to his sovereign territory.
You bring it, I fling it.
Exactly. With every load brought in to expand his empire, he claimed ownership of that area. So, if you own something, you can also sell it.
This is true.
At least that's the idea.
I've heard this.
So Streeter starts selling bogus deeds to these unsuspecting buyers. And he would exploit like poor folks. He would kind of get a lot of black families who thought, we're going to finally own something. But he would bray about how I'm the champion of the underdog. Oh, God. So pretty soon, though, he had 186 acres of what is now Chicago's Streeterville neighborhood. Are you familiar with the district?
Yeah, it lasted.
It did. You're probably familiar with Streeterville and you don't know it.
I am?
It's the neighborhood north of the Chicago River, bounded by the river on the south, Magnificent Mile, portion of Michigan Avenue on the west, Lake Michigan on the north and east. So basically it's the Magnificent Mile plus everything east of it.
What?
And you know what's in that area? Like Navy Pier.
Yes.
That's Streeterville.
Are you kidding me?
And that's all Phil. From him.
Wow.
Yeah.
He made like the...
I mean, the sandbar was already sort of expansive. There were already squatters on it. They had set up all sorts of like dens of sin on there, like gambling shacks and makeshift bordellos.
I mean, most of Chicago was basically built on a swamp. The locals called it, I think, like stinky land or bitter land or something. Yeah.
And so the mayor would like evict all these little squatters off the sandbar, but people would like sneak back out there. And then Streeter comes along and is like, no, this whole thing's mine now. Let's just keep expanding it. And so others though had already laid legal claim to the land. So the claimed land on there included plots already purchased by the Chicago Title and Trust Company, Potter Palmer, who was like a huge landowner, Nathaniel Fairbank, Marshall Field.
Oh, yeah.
And Philip Armour. So basically the fat cats of Chicago. And these fat cats, they teamed up together to get Streeter removed from their land.
That's what they do best.
Yeah, they wanted this drunken squatter gone. I mean, and Streeter was partying it up. He threw these huge parties. He sold booze, even on Sundays, which he wasn't supposed to do. And so the elites, they were sending the cops out on the regular, but like Streeter resisted. He said they had no jurisdiction.
Not in Streeterville.
Like, get off my property. He armed himself and his supporters with guns.
Oh, he meant it.
He and Maria went medieval and poured boiling water and oil on trespassers.
Are you for real?
I'm definitely for real.
Boiling oil.
They built these makeshift forts along the 186 acres, and they used scrap metal for defense.
Are you kidding
The place
me?
became known as Fort Streeter.
Yeah.
And he always called it the district of Lake Michigan, but he pronounced it the Deestrict.
The Deeestrict?
Yeah. So everyone started calling it the Deeestrict. And it was like this like Mad Max style slum.
That's what it sounds
yeah.
like.
Everyone who lived there was part of Streeter's army.
Apocalypse how?
And their battles went on for years.
I bet.
Years. So if the cops couldn't get this squashed, right, Palmer and Fairbank, they thought maybe the courts could. So they sued Streeter 6 ways to Sunday.
I bet.
But Streeter always appealed and weaseled his way out.
Oh.
A reporter for the Chicago Tribune went to interview Streeter in his house on the land in 1890. It is the greatest article. Streeter's a great interview. So the reporter was there because Fairbank had just won his suit of forcible detainer against Streeter just the day before.
Okay.
And Streeter was still in the shanty on the land, though. So he told the reporter that he intended to stay put until the Supreme Court of the state of Illinois tried to kick him out. And then he promised to fight them, too. And with what? According to the reporter, quote, with a shotgun, with a white bulldog, and a stout heart.
Oh, white bulldog and a stout
heart. That bulldog Spot was like a fixture at the shanty.
Get out of town. His dog's name was Spot.
Spot. The dog was like snoozing under the table while Mrs. Streeter cooked sausages, and like Streeter sat around with some friends smoking corncob pipes.
Are you kidding me?
I simply must read you a chunk of this article because there's no way for me to summarize and do it justice. The reporter transcribes it in their vernacular and pronunciations,
of course.
By the way. Quote, I've been a sailor man 25 years, said the captain, jamming his tobacco into his pipe with his thumb, which is a trick all seamen know. And my name is G.W. Streeter, George W. Streeter, George Wellington Streeter, said Mrs. Streeter. But I'm no Englisher. Dade you ain't, or you never married me, says Mrs. Streeter. Vast, said the captain. I allus lived board a boat. I ain't used to living nowhere else. About 2 years ago, there was another blow, and another night in comes here this old tub and stuck around about 150 feet from the shore. She was bigger than the rootin', and I moved into her. More commodious, said Mrs. Streeter. Vast, said the captain. I put on a roof and tarred it, and me and the girl lived here since. Then the dudes said I had their riparian rights. They ordered me off. I wouldn't go. They asked the health department to fire me, and I fired the health department. They sent the harbor master to put me off, and that didn't work. Mr. Fairbank, he said he'd burn me down, and I said I'd shoot Mr. Fairbank's whiskers off if he tried it. I would too. Then Mr. Fairbank came in his carriage one day, and he was howling mad. I says I, Mr. Fairbank, you look here. I am an American citizen, and you can't come no British lord business over me. I says, and moreover, Mr. Fairbank, you can't work no Johnny Bull on me, says I, because I was born in Michigan. I says, and your riparian rights is nothing to me, Mr. Fairbank, I says. Our rights is more riper than his, more by token that we was here first, said Mrs. Streeter. Vast, said the captain, and I'm going to defend my rights. I'm going to claim all this made land as a squatter. I'm going to carry it up to the circuit court, and to the appellate court, and to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court tries to hist me, there's my government papers to run a boat. And if Uncle Sam don't fight 'em off, this ain't no land of freedom. It's unconstitutional, said a man with earrings, rising to spit in the cook stove. It ain't right, said Mrs. Streeter. Vast, said the captain, and he rose and took down from the wall a long-barreled shotgun, unpleasantly loaded with 10-penny nails, and aroused the dog.
Oh, damn, loaded with 10-penny nails?
10-penny nails in a shot like this?
Those are not small nails.
I mean, this
Vast.
interview. Vast.
Dude, oh my God. I got to start saying I says and says I.
So the article made note of the fact that Streeter was holed up in a really nice neighborhood. So, quote, from his front window, he can hear the boom of the lake and see the breakers piling in ashore. From his back stoop, he can watch the carriages of the haughty in the distance. He has only to turn over in bed to hear the chimes of St. James's. The Newberry Library will stand within hailing distance of his cook stove. Moreover, the made land which he lays claim to is worth many hundreds of thousands. No wonder he doesn't want to move.
Well, yeah.
I mean, come on.
This guy nailed it right there. He's living good, and it's worth something.
exactly.
Come on now.
So after this
We get
interview,
your riparian rights.
but our rights are riper.
Riper. I
as the
love
wife
that.
says.
I love that.
So after the interview, the Tribune, they popped in regularly to get choice quotes from Streeter.
Are you kidding me? He's a quote factory.
He's incredible. There's an article from June of 1891 where he laments that the Irish in the neighborhood are worse than the fat cat swells.
How so?
Well, he said he had this
Do I want to hear this?
No, he has this whole conspiracy theory that Fairbank had hired gangs of Irish to harass him. And Streeter and his wife, they breathlessly tell of beating the buttons off these gang members, blood flying everywhere, and they're all excited about
Cats in the air.
Well, and they're the reporter's well, what are you going to do about this? Ironically, he's going to take him to court. Quote, I've swore out warrants for Jack Dugan, Bob Dugan, McNally, and Sullivan, a gang of Irish who come around here trying to tear down my fence. And they tried to kill you too, Parr, put in Mrs. Streeter. Can't you be still, shouted the mariner, and let me tell it.
Oh my God. It's like if Popeye's grandfather was a young man, or his father was a young man.
Yes. And so on that note, let's take a break.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll continue to follow the escapades of old Cap Streeter. Zaron.
Elizabeth.
George Streeter.
Now, before we get back into this, I said before the break that it reminded me, I picked the wrong person. You know what it reminds me of? A young Abraham Simpson, Homer's dad.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that, as was the custom of the day.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
exactly.
That is exactly it. Well, if you just let me tell it.
Sorry.
As George says.
Yeah.
I just can you be still and let me tell it?
Yeah.
The fighting in front of the report is so good.
And you can so picture them. I mean,
you totally can.
Leap off the page.
Totally can.
Parr, I'll tell you.
Come on now, Parr. So George, known to his friends and supporters as Cap, known to his enemies as a pain in the rear.
Known to me as GW.
GW Streets.
Wellington.
GG Streets. Over 200 court cases were filed involving him between 1886 and 1920. 200.
It's a good record.
200. So he had all these eviction orders, but he kept delaying enforcement through legal trickery. He'd appeal, and then he had this populist rhetoric. People loved him.
I was going to say, how's he affording all these lawyers? Pro bono stuff?
I have no idea.
Donating?
Well, I think he had a lot of shady business on the side.
Okay.
In 1893, police successfully removed him from Streeterville, towed the Rutan away.
Mm-hmm.
Streeter was finally convicted of assault and sentenced to a year in jail.
Oh, that'll do
And
it.
that temporarily removed him
Once
from the
he's
land.
Gone, yeah.
Yeah, but while he was in prison, developers moved in, but his legend grew. And he began positioning himself as this populist underdog, a man of the people. I'm fighting these corrupt elites.
Yeah.
So he gets out of jail, goes right back to the land, this time living in tents and cabins.
Okay.
So the boat's gone, but you can't get rid of him. That's his land. So he claimed squatters' rights.
He made it.
He made it.
Only God and George Streeter make
he's
land.
He's just doubling down at this point. He's issuing these phony legal decrees. He said,
Wait, legal decrees? Like he's Emperor Norton now?
Well, he says he represents the District of Lake Michigan government.
Oh, of course.
He issued stamps, seals. He wrote a fake constitution.
Oh,
he
ambitious.
sold these worthless land titles.
Sure.
And then he would appeal to the press with bold speeches and then his crazy behavior. He went all in and started holding mock elections for offices for his invented government.
Were there other candidates? Was it just him versus him?
And the guy with the earrings. So he'd parade around town in military garb, demanding recognition. He's like Dark Emperor Morton.
Seriously?
Evil Emperor Norton.
Yeah.
I need to do an Emperor Norton episode.
Oh my God, you do.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, Streeter. So he issued, quote, official licenses for street vendors and peddlers to operate in Chicago.
Streeter vendors, Elizabeth.
Streeter vendors, not just in his little fake land.
He's my jurisdiction extends.
Yeah, I'll give you that diplomatic immunity.
What do you got? You got hot dogs?
Yeah,
go for it.
None of this is valid, of course. At one point, his shanty was set upon by a couple dozen cops. And they weren't there on official duty. They'd been paid by Potter Palmer to strong-arm Streeter and his wife out of this makeshift
We're
settlement.
looking for George Streeter.
Yeah. Streeter opened fire on them.
Oh, snap.
And then Maria, like, whips out a knife, and she's just, like, slashing at him.
She's good and close with a knife?
She did close-up work with a knife. They were arrested, but then they got released because they said it was self-defense. They're like, these guys weren't working as cops.
Oh.
They were just hired goons, and who do we don't know them.
Yeah, that's true. That's
May
fair.
25th, 1899, cops descend again. This time because Streeter had taken pot shots at a police carriage.
Uh-oh.
They'll
get you for that.
There was this military governor, William Niles, had been called in. He surrounded the property with armed troops and a cannon.
Oh, wait. You said what year was this?
1899.
Okay, so we have the anarchist issue in Chicago.
Yes,
So
yes.
they're dealing.
They're dealing with
and that's
that.
why there's the Chicago police are now working with the military and the
Yes.
military governor. That was the time. So
Yeah.
they could just use that as a
They used
sweep up measure.
Right.
Huh.
And they're like, but like, where'd he get a cannon? They
Yeah.
took it from a park down the road.
Well, that's what I was saying. The
Sure.
anarchists. Everybody was grabbing cannons.
Well, no, but
I'm kidding.
no, not Streeter, the military.
Oh, they grabbed
They
the
just went
cannon
and got a cannon from the park.
and
They're like,
aimed it at him?
Yeah, this will work.
They like cleaned it up a little bit.
Well, the cops, they posted up in tugboats that had like Gatling guns on them.
Oh, geez.
And so like everyone means business and they all move in. But there's like some back and forth.
Change in attitude.
Finally, Streeter and his guys get captured, but then they got released because the cops weren't authorized to be there.
What?
Also, there wasn't yet a law against like shooting at a carriage and missing.
Are you kidding me?
They're
You
like,
could just shoot. They got
You
a
could
cop
just
and
discharge your. He wasn't like I
as
wasn't
long
aiming
as
for
you
him.
miss, it's legal.
Yeah, so the rich folks
It's
and their
only illegal to hit a person with a bullet.
exactly these like violently rich, the fat cats.
Uh-huh.
They got more hired goons, kept at it. So when a bunch of cops broke into his house while he and the missus were out, they confiscated his guns, his ammo, took it back to the station.
Huh.
Streeter gets home, sees this, immediately goes to the police station and walks in and takes everyone in the building hostage.
How?
I don't know.
Like did he
I think
yell
he had
like
some
Michael
on him.
Scott? You are
You're
my
all
hostage.
He wants his guns back.
Do you think he
tells
had
them.
more guns
I
on
think he had
him?
more guns. He probably
And the guy with the earrings?
saw they're not there, called Earring Joe,
And
and
he's like,
was
"Come
like,
on, we're rolling."
what guns do you have?
Yeah.
He's like, I've got some. Let
got
me go
6 on
talk to
me.
Peg Leg Pete.
Yeah,
and
we'll be there.
Stump down there with you. And so, yeah. So he takes everyone hostage, says, I just want my guns back. Legally, the cops didn't have a right to just go and take them.
Yeah.
So they gave him back all his weapons and they let him just walk home. Yeah. And then, like, eventually, yeah, charges were filed for the incident, but, like, he charmed the judge and got
Yeah.
acquitted.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
Well, he's a charming guy.
He's a
I mean,
charming
you gotta
guy.
give him that.
In 1900, some guys showed up at Streeter's saying that they were land buyers. And like, we just want to talk to George. We're just here to buy some land. And, you know, Streeter's not home. Like he had an office in town where it was like his real estate office where he would sell the fake land from the office.
Chicago was so wild.
Oh,
man.
God. So they're like, you know, he's not home. Sorry. And they're like, okay, great. And then they just burned down his house. They're like, he's not here. So Streeter was not having this. This meant war. So he rallied his misfit troops and they went to reclaim the territory.
Good for them.
The police, they show up in those strapped tugboats again, as well as like all manner of wagons and like literally hundreds of officers.
Like a Black Mariah with a cannon on it.
Yes, yeah. It was an extended standoff. And so finally, Streeter is convinced to surrender. And once again, he gets acquitted of all charges.
Good.
Yeah. So 1902, that's when things went 1% for us.
Oh.
So one of Fairbanks' guards gets shot and killed in the shantytown. A bunch of residents get implicated, but it was Streeter who gets charged with manslaughter. No one would testify, so the whole thing was built on circumstantial evidence.
Sure.
And it was really cloudy as to like how it happened, where the guy was found. Like there are a lot of conflicting reports.
Welcome to Chicago.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Streeter gets convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
For real?
Yeah. So while he's in jail awaiting transfer to prison. Maria passed away.
Oh.
The paper said that she, quote, died in a barn from injuries received in a trolley car accident.
Oh.
Yeah. So I guess it was
I thought it
like.
was be like from wounds received from a
No.
kick from a goat.
I dug around some more and I guess she got hit by a trolley car, like, and suffered for a couple months.
There's
with
a reason
internal
why
injuries.
the Dodgers are called the trolley Dodgers.
Yes.
It was an issue.
It's
You had to
dangerous,
dodge the
But
trolleys.
she didn't want to go to the hospital.
She probably couldn't afford it.
Yeah, and she probably thought she'd get arrested. She maybe had warrants out
Good
anyway,
point.
so she just
Y'all
holed
got
up in a
warrants?
December of 1903, Streeter made an appeal to the grand jury to get him out of county.
Okay.
He wrote, quote, "I have been in jail for more than a year without a scintilla of evidence against me. My health is bad. There's been 125 citizens signed for my release, and I asked the grand jury to recommend it. I've been juggled all through the courts, and I've been kept here because there has been money on both sides of the case. It is a disgrace to civilized people the treatment I've received." So to many, it looked like Streeter had been set up, like completely railroaded.
I'm with the many.
Yeah. And what do you know? People look into it. He's granted a full and unconditional pardon and released from Joliet prison.
Damn.
Yeah. So, that erases that 1%. R.I.P. to the guard.
Yeah. Sure. So Joliet jaked out of prison, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
He gets out, and there are just huge parties, celebrations to mark his release. Dances, feasts, you name it. He was a hero in a lot of people's eyes.
Like
this amazing character.
Working class hero. I love that.
1906, he hooked up with a pretty young thing named Alma Lockwood. She was 33 years younger than he.
Alma Lockwood.
They shacked up back in Streeterville, lived there as the territory he claimed grew smaller and smaller. And pretty soon, what was once 186 acres was now just his house with a fence around it.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's still a fun character. He still had people over.
Yeah.
He ran an underground saloon out of his house, and he broke the blue laws and sold booze on Sunday. And so they told him, if you've got to get a liquor license. And even then you can't sell on Sundays. But he refused. So there was this court order for him to stop doing business. When the deputy showed up to issue the paperwork, Streeter stabbed him in the bum with a bayonet.
Wow, with a bayonet.
Uh-huh. So Streeter gets arrested, but then released.
Yeah, because
lather, rinse, repeat.
Bum.
But the cops wanted blood, so they showed up and they tried to rearrest him.
Oh.
Alma comes out with an axe.
Where does he get these women
They're
who are
amazing,
so good with blades?
Phenomenal women. The cops were able to get it away from her, but not before she relieved 6 of them of their weapons.
Of their weapons?
Yeah. And then Streeter starts unloading birdshot at him.
Wow, I love these two.
So Alma gets arrested for assault with intent to kill. But here's the thing.
Snap.
The cops that showed up for that raid never identified themselves as police. They just showed up, wrecked shop, and you know what that means? Acquittal.
Yes.
Alma gets acquitted.
Good for her.
December 11th, 1918, the absolutely amazing Streeter legal run came to an end. A judge found that he had no legal claim to the land.
Well, that was
after
obvious.
all that time. And they gave him 7 days to clear out. His response was, quote, "No matter where I live, the Deeestrict is mine. Just wait until my boys get back from France."
Oh, nice. The
well,
World
apparently,
War.
Yeah, his sons he had sons fighting in World War I, plus some
Family
of the residents.
tradition.
Yeah.
There was a war on.
Exactly.
They were going to be
They
fighting.
were legit, though. He's forcibly removed from his house, all the belongings put into a wagon, and then they burned the house down.
Did he move into Wrigley Field?
Well, no, he and his wife lived in the wagon for a little while.
Oh, wow.
And they became like a local attraction. People would come and hang out with him.
Wow,
at
full
the wagon.
circle. Now he's the circus.
Yes. So he stuck around the neighborhood. Local associations, they threw balls with him as the main attraction.
Just listen to him talk?
Oh, no, they'd come out and they'd have a big dinner and a dance and fancy dress or not costumes, but
people give
formal
speeches,
dress.
tell tales of the day.
And it would just raise funds for him and whomever else. He would file new lawsuits against the city and various wealthy landowners every now and then
Yeah,
they'd all
not?
get struck down.
Got to keep the lawyers busy.
Yeah, he bought a houseboat called the Vamoose, and he lived on that.
Vamoose.
And he got a job selling hot dogs at Navy Pier.
Wow, I knew I'd come into it.
You knew
Selling
it.
hot
You knew
dogs.
the hot
cannot
dogs.
have a Chicago story without hot dogs being
Need a
sold.
Chicago
I need
dog.
encased meats if this
Yes,
is a Chicago
it
story.
has to be. And he was just this character about town.
This is great.
One day while he was chopping wood, a big shard of wood flew up and hit him in the eye. It got infected. And then he got pneumonia. And on January 22nd, 1921, at the age of 84 years old, he went to the great beyond.
He got felled by a tree he was chopping down.
Yes.
Seems about right.
His funeral was huge.
I bet.
Hundreds of people, including the mayor, showed up.
I'd say the Bishop of Chicago.
Yeah, the
Archbishop.
So the mayor shows up. This is from the Chicago Tribune's reporting on it. Quote, curious citizens gathered about the open grave yesterday afternoon to witness the ancient mariner's burial. Lured were they by an adventurous Iliad, which for more than a generation has made the Deeestrict a place of buccaneeric notoriety. An Iliad in which the captain was Hector, defending his holdings from the depredations of Gold Coast Agamemnons. He'd rather fight than eat, affirmed one citizen, spitting emphatically upon the fresh-turned gravel. Dirty shame he couldn't be buried in Streeterville, commented another. I'll bet, a small boy speaking, there's lots of money hidden away in the sands down there, I'll bet. Up the driveway came a gray hearse, followed by numerous machines. The grave mechanics alighted. Ma Streeter, veiled but tearless, peered curiously into the rectangular hole. The handsome coffin was placed upon its braces. The prayer began, with L trains grumbling and rain clouds hovering overhead.
Oh, it's so perfect.
I mean, we used to be a proper country with proper journalists and readers who wanted more than like just to partially read a headline.
I was just about to say I loved that.
This is just a stringer's piece too.
Yeah.
There's no byline to it.
Just someone just commenting on the day.
It's just the
reporting on a funeral.
Beautiful stuff.
Totally.
And the thing is,
we were a literate society.
We were a literate society because we were producing this. Journalists were able to produce this, and there was an audience for it.
Well, unfortunately, the times changed.
Yeah. So
just changed.
Streeter. Whew, yeah. I mean, it was...
What a life, says I.
Yeah. He's gone, but the vamoose remains.
He's gone?
He's gone.
So the funeral was for legit?
It was a legit funeral.
Oh, okay.
He claimed the land in which he was buried.
Finally took it.
But there's the vamoose, right?
Yeah.
Alma lived there, at one point suing the city for damages, asking them to repair it after another boat moored next to it and banged it up. She took over his hot dog business and his fake land claim business too. At one point, she incorporated the Streeterville Guarantee Company in Arizona with a $1 billion valuation.
What?
Yeah, and then she was going to use that to sue.
Yeah.
She got busted for moonshining on the vamoose during Prohibition.
Good for her.
Like they confiscated a still,
yeah, I'm sure.
But then she was like selling bootleg liquor. The vamoose continued to fall into disrepair. Ma Streeter would get arrested every now and then for defying orders to repair it. Streeter's kids would every now and then contest the property ownership of the Deeestrict, filing suit to get claim to the land, always dismissed. Sometimes the kids were legitimate. Other times it'd be folks claiming to be the love child of like Streeter and some shanty dweller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were like legitimately illegitimate?
No, I don't think.
You think they were just faking
I went
it?
year by year through the Chicago papers, and it was like so thick with these claims and these articles.
Okay.
There's just so many of them.
It's another Chicago tradition.
Yeah. In 1928, the city finally condemned the vamoose.
28.
Gave it a Viking funeral.
Wow.
Although they actually hoisted it out of the water, let it dry, and then set it on fire.
Okay. And then buried the ashes 10 feet deep, poured concrete on top.
Fired it into the sun. Alma moved into a room on Howe Avenue and sold aprons to make ends meet.
Okay.
And she passed away in 1936 at the age of 66. The last of the heir lawsuits was finally dismissed in 1940.
Wow.
1940.
That's a hell of a run.
Yeah. And so here we are today. The land once, that he claimed as Streeterville is one of Chicago's wealthiest and most developed neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Home to Navy Pier, like I said. Also John Hancock Center, Northwestern University's medical campus.
Yeah.
There's a true Chicago folk hero for you. Zaron, what's your ridiculous takeaway?
That was a really fun, rebuilding of Chicago story.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even heard that one, so it was really fun talking about Chicago in a way I hadn't heard about before. So thank you, Elizabeth.
You're very welcome.
What was your ridiculous takeaway there, Elizabeth?
I went so deep into the Chicago papers at the time, and it's like... There were so many other little side details, some too hideous to talk about.
Were you surprised how often they use the term jag-off in the newspaper? Sorry, go on.
After post-George, in Alma's later years, things got crazy.
Oh, really?
That I don't want to talk about on here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But the details were just fascinating, and you could go down so many side rabbit holes, but honestly what really struck me was the level of journalism. Yes, that was a beautiful passage. Letting him just kind of run for it in the interviews and getting choice quotes, but it was a pleasure going through all the newspapers on that. What I do need,
I miss being a literate society.
Oh my God, seriously.
I know that it's just wild and whatever, things change, it's going to happen, but for all the writers who are like, people are going to be reading my books for millennia. I'm like, not even 100 years.
No,
like,
no, because it's all headlines and people don't even read a whole headline.
No.
And then they comment on things without having read it. It just to whatever. Yeah.
It's a shame though, because also clear thinking comes along with that kind of good writing.
Completely.
But
and the art of the language.
Yeah. Just the fun of it, the poetry of it.
Play around with it. I need to talk back, David.
Talk back. Oh my God, did he just say that?
OMG.
Hello to all the fine folks at Ridiculous Crime. I was just listening to your mascot episode and I had to laugh to myself because my partner is and was a mascot for many things. And they tell me all the time about all of the like super mean and irritating and just violent kids they deal with. So it was kind of funny and a little bit cathartic to hear about Gritty kind of like smacking him back a little bit. That's so funny. Keep it up, y'all.
Yes, that's the thing. I've seen kids like go nuts on, and
they're the worst.
They're horrible.
Kids are little people.
So
people are terrible. Kids are terrible.
I'm with Gritty, man.
Yeah.
A++.
Sometimes you gotta check a kid. Shout out to you and your partner.
That's right. That's all for today. You can find us online at ridiculouscrime.com. Do you know what that just won? The Beauty of Dance Award.
Oh, yes.
From Walmart.com.
We were so excited when we got nominated. I didn't think it was a chance.
The Walmart.com awards are really prestigious.
Very much so. Yeah. It was us and Conan O'Brien up there, and I was like really excited to be in such illustrious company.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good ceremony.
Who knew he could clog dance like that?
He tears it up. Feats of Lion.
Feats of Lion.
We're also on Blue Sky and Instagram. You can find us on YouTube at Ridiculous Crime Pod. Fabulous animation.
Yes.
Love it. Email ridiculouscrime@gmail.com and leave us a talkback on the iHeart app. Please reach out. Ridiculous Crime is hosted by Elizabeth Dutton and Zaron Burnett. Produced and edited by the Right Honorable Duke of the Deeestrict of Lake Michigan, Dave Kustin. Starring Annalise Rutger as Judith. Research is by the unsinkable Marissa Brown. The theme song is by Shantytown Roustabouts Thomas Lee and Travis Dutton. The host wardrobe is provided by Botany 500. Guest hair and makeup by Sparkleshot and Mr. Andre. Executive producers are houseboat repairman Ben Bolin and Navy Pier hot dog impresario Noel Brown.
Ridiculous Crime.
Say it one more time.
Ridiculous Crime.
Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.